I think as we were tracing the cult, this figure appears um, because you were talking about Bacchic um, cult. So I guess we're talking about Bacchus, isn't it? There is that seems to be like these misconceptions of like or misconception all the time. Like you talk about Baco here in Spanish. Yeah, obviously they will tell you, okay, yeah, this is the god of wine of the Romans. So obviously it's not Roman time because we're talking about the Bacchic cult that is coming like way before, isn't it? So what I wanted to ask you is about who is this figures of Bacchus, and if we can get into what the text says about the actual influence of this concept um, happens, like practically, like that there were, what is this Bacchic thing? What is this?
Yeah, and interestingly, the Bacchic cult starts with women. Bacchic cult is an ecstatic state that can be entered by a woman who is following a very specific cult regimen and uses very specific cult tools. So we know, in this case, we know that the Bacchants, who are women, originally women, remember we talked about the Scythians. Some of these tribes are just completely women, right? Um, this is not the same world that you see in the integrated world that we live in. So these Bacchic women are able to enter into an ecstatic state that is the possession of Bacchus, right? We don't know what Bacchus is. Let me just say that one more time. We don't know what Bacchus is. We can guess at what it means to be Bacchic, but we don't even know where the word comes from. So, um, to the Greeks, this foreign nature of the Bacchic cult was a real problem in a lot of Greek city states. They didn't want to absorb this worship. This is coming from these women, these Maenads in the East, and they are using these dildos and snakes to do something that will cause havoc and rain, confusion, and slaughter on our little cities. It's not good. So, this is the Bronze Age Bacchic worship that we see that ultimately develops into the very pacified and civilized masculine and feminine worship of Dionysus. Yes, as the god of wine, as the god of wine. That's what it becomes. And we get the stage in Athens through that worship. But people have to realize the cult, from its origin, is really a place. It's a place that a woman can project herself in order to be filled with the God. And the God causes her to do things like kill people. Right? Kill people. Remember where these cults are coming from? People wash up on our shore. Hey, it's their fault, right? Let's play with them. Let's use some drugs on them, right? This is the society that creates Bacchus. The Greeks have a word, Baccheo, Baccheo, and it contains that old Mycenaean digamma. And it means to be in the Bacchic maniacal murderous state.
Amon, do we know? Do you have some? Do we have some sources that they will talk about, like to give an example when, because okay, this comes from Bronze Age. But after this was read from this new culture after it's coming from there, and it becomes something that a bit different. But what keep what the cult will keep? How will you look at the influence of this Bacchus after?
You'd have to see two things, both of them in Athens. You see the development of the stage and theater. That's one place. The other is the Eleusinian mysteries. The mysteries that we celebrate only come to us through this Bacchic procession. In other words, we don't go to any sacred ground unless it's been processed by Bacchus himself. That is the core of the monadic mania. So, where do we see this? We see it in the productions of the stage in Athens. You see it in Athens. These are Euripides is borrowing from earlier records. Euripides is quoting. Euripides is digging. Euripides is so into it that his mother is a root collector. And everybody knows from the Greek, everybody knows that these women are fucking nuts. Okay? These women are nuts. They come from a tradition where they hunt people that they mate with. Right? This is where the Bacchic monadic power that creates the first mystery, that is the first mystery, right? Medea, the first Christ, is living in that world of the first mystery, of generating the Bacchic furor. She's actually doing it with actual drugs.
Mhm. And when it comes to this new world after, how can we see how will the whole culture around it will look like? I guess it will be a bit different, not the same as in you know what I mean? Like as in that early stage. Now it becomes Dionysus, it becomes this other kind of rite, but it will be the same because you said that it will be like men involved also, not just women. They embrace this thing and they create what?
They create the absolute mongrelization, the ill breeding of two pea plants that shouldn't have been with each other. They take the offspring, Christianity, and they create the Bacchic power within the Christian ill-bred psychic image producer, which is the church. The church ultimately took, and they did the same thing with Greek. They did the same thing with Mother Greek. They took the language and they corrupted her.
Mhm.
They took away her flexibility. You're no longer actively, as you live, pulling new vocabulary out of the air. You're no longer advancing in your ability to use the logos to explain your surroundings. You're not able to do that anymore. The church took Bacchus and turned Bacchus into exactly what you have now, which is what? It is not, it is anything but the education, training, and preparation of women to be able to meet their peak, to be able to protect us as guardians of the virgin voice. They're the ones who are able to protect us. They have to be potentiated. Doing this to women is how you elevate your society. Watch what happens to them. Watch what they do. It's people, they think this stuff is myth. It's not, people. I've read the doctors who were astounded at the use of the drugs in the different cults, right? Please, people, the most popular physician of all time, Galen, right? Galen, he knows one of these priestesses that supplies him with the drugs that are so phenomenally powerful in his medical practice in Rome. He buys 20,000 fucking pills.
Can you talk a bit to us about that person, Galen?
Yeah, Galen, second century physician of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. He's giving Marcus, we have documents, his own documents, where he talks about giving Marcus Aurelius the famous theriac. He says it's making him better, it's making him bigger. Oh, his dependence upon opium is getting a little bit too high. Galen doesn't like that. But we see him giving Marcus Aurelius the theriac. Galen, who is the highest physician in the Roman Empire. There's nobody else who has more authority than he does. He's like a surgeon general, except way more. And he comes out and he says, look, we're getting this medicine from Lemnos. And the priestess there that provides it, she is using this technique that goes back to the origin. It goes back to the first oracles. What are they doing on Lemnos with what they call the Limnian earth and how they're processing it? They're making medicine for the entire Mediterranean through oracular practice. That is through Bacchic worship. Galen recognizes the knowledge that is locked in the craft of the oracle, and he goes and exploits it by buying 20,000 of these pills to take back to Rome to put in his prescriptions. So the the impulse toward freedom and liberty is Bacchus. That drive to want to be a part of that natural world that wants you to survive. That is the power of the Bacchic frenzy. It gives you the freedom to pursue what you need to pursue in order to break that barrier, in order to go like they were doing at Eleusis, where everybody in the Mediterranean is coming for their initiation, how to be prepped. And this is the most important time of your life, right? It's imagine if instead of people going on a trek to Mecca, imagine if they went there and came back with a permanent transformation in the neuropeptides in their brain and the way that their brain was working so that their bodies could do X, Y, and Z, so that their perception was opened X, Y, and Z.